Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Bob. I'm excited to be here to talk to you about the Advanced Connectivity Solutions Business Unit, aka ACS. I've been the business unit leader the past 5+ years, and it's a great feeling leading a team that's accomplished so much, like growing sales by more than 70% and quadrupling our operating profit during that period. But as proud as I am of our accomplishments, I'm equally as excited about our future potential. I was at CES, Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas earlier this year, and as I was walking around looking at some of the booths and the different technology, I became so enthusiastic and excited about our future. There's drones, the connected home, Internet of Things, 5G, autonomous cars, and Rogers ACS is right in the middle of it all. So let's talk a little bit about ACS. So near term, we're delivering results because we're focusing on some key areas. And that's primarily those listed here, the ongoing deployment of 4G LTE. Plus, we're also seeing, as we get further out in the 4G life cycle, 4.5G starting to come into play, so we're seeing some design wins there. The implementation of ADAS, or an acronym for Advanced Driver Assistance Systems, continues to accelerate at a faster and faster pace, and even many changes to the projections even in the last 6 months. The Aerospace and Defense segment, it's a steady growth part of our business. It's very diverse, specialized applications like missiles and drones. The good news is there's a lot of design activity in this space right now, and in fact, there's some new programs that are launching this year and in the next few years. In terms of growth drivers, there's this unbelievable thirst for data out there driven by mobile video. And the service providers around the world are scrambling to accommodate this dramatic drive for data. They're also trying to figure out the economics of 5G, as you might imagine. In automotive, there's really two key aspects in automotive. We've got the push from assisted driving to autonomous driving, and radar sensors are a proven technology as a part of that. Additionally, there's also vehicle-to-vehicle and vehicle-to-infrastructure communications, which also are driving the need for high-performance solutions. So I'm sure you've all heard about the Internet of Things, IoT. The world is becoming increasingly connected at a faster and faster pace, where virtually everything is talking to everything else. Some examples might be machine-to-machine communications in industry, where you've got two machines talking to each other. A medical device exchanging secure information with another piece of equipment. Or maybe it's your refrigerator contacting your local grocery store to let them know you're low on milk. Long term, there's some very favorable tailwinds in our target markets, and we have a solid leadership position that we will capitalize on. Many of the applications we participate in are very demanding from a performance and reliability standards. Not everyone can play in this space. We've proven ourselves, and that gives us differentiation, and it creates a high barrier to entry. Bob mentioned earlier about our innovation legacy, and actually innovation is still part of ACS's growth strategy. It's core to our strategy, and the new platforms we're working on now in the Innovation Center are going to be our growth drivers 3, 5, and 7 years out. Very exciting. So ACS is well positioned to win in our growing core markets. I'm going to talk a little bit about the business here now. $278 million in sales for full year 2016, $153 million in sales through the first half of this year. Compare first half of this year to first half of last year is 9% growth. Adjusted operating margin, 17.1% for full year last year, 22.8% in the first half of this year, 250 basis point improvement versus the first half of 16. If you look at the center pie chart here to look at the complexion of the business, 41% of our business is in wireless infrastructure, also known as telecom infrastructure. This is power amplifiers, transceivers, remote radio units, antennas. So when you're driving down the highway and you see the cell tower there, those are the antennas up on top. We have an example out there in the display area. And then down below, in those cabinets, is where the electronics are housed, like the power amplifiers and so forth, to drive the signal to get you your video on your cell phone. The next segment, Aerospace and Defense, about 20% of our business. This is high mix, low volume, largely custom business. Bob talked a little bit about some space applications. This is that space, very high reliability, very high performance. The third segment is Automotive Connectivity and Safety and Connectivity. 20% of our business here is our fastest growing segment. Our materials go into the radar sensors around the front, rear, and corners of a vehicle for blind spot detection, collision avoidance, adaptive cruise control. Additionally, there's antennas that go in cars for satellite radio and vehicle-to-vehicle communications. So a fast-growing area. When you talk about our portfolio and some of the highlights, leadership comes up regularly. We lead in many of the market segments that we participate in. We also have a broader portfolio that came to us through an acquisition a few years ago. We've been able to leverage that and really start to generate some great solutions. In fact, we've got a new line of thermally conductive materials that we're very excited about. Our customers see us as a trusted partner, especially as it relates to innovation, and they regularly share their technology roadmaps with us. Bruce mentioned customer loyalty. We measure that. We take it very seriously. We incorporate it. But what comes out of that messaging is that they enjoy working with us in a very collaborative, problem-solving environment. Plus, our channel to market is a key strength for us. We work with the OEMs to get our materials designed in, so we solve their problems. Then we sell the materials to circuit board shops around the world. And we have a global footprint, and we provide local support. We manufacture on 3 different continents, and we have a first-class design and tech support team. So regardless of where it's designed or where it's produced, we have it covered. Plus, our worldwide operations team has done a great job in sharing best practices across the different regions as we drive towards operational excellence. Most of our customers are multinational, and they have these cross-functional, cross-location teams in place to make buying decisions. And I have a great global team assembled to win at these customers. Okay, so we're going to talk about some key applications here a little deeper. We've got the applications down the left side, a relative kind of growth rate of the next 5 years with the orange arrows, and then our competitive advantages on the side here. So let's talk about automotive safety and connectivity first. Very high growth. We have a strong position here. Our portfolio that we have in this space covers the full range of radar sensors from short, mid, and long-range radar sensors, from 24 gigahertz for blind spot detection up to 77 gigahertz for adaptive cruise control. We've done a great job getting spec'd into these applications over the last 3 to 5 years, and so now as these programs are starting to ramp and go to production, we have a worldwide leadership position in this space. OEMs are counting on very reliable, consistent materials, and we're building off our reputation in the aerospace and defense segment. We've got a long legacy there. Shifting to wireless infrastructure. Outlook is very positive in wireless infrastructure here as well. We have a diverse portfolio. Customers are bringing their challenges to us, like very high frequencies, thermal issues, antennas that need to minimize crosstalk. I mean, these are some of the challenges they're bringing to us, and our materials are helping solve these challenges. Of course, there's a focus on 5G. What's it going to look like to create an ultra-reliable, low-latency network for things like industrial robots or remote surgery? So we have a rock-solid track record in 2G, 3G, and now in 4G LTE. So we're in the pole position, so to speak, for 5G. We help the design engineers sleep at night knowing that our materials have been out in the field for many generations of different networks, that we bring that comfort to them. The Aerospace and Defense segment. This is where it all started for us, very foundational. Devices must work every time, mission critical. We work a lot with our military, and as you can imagine, they have some of the most complex, difficult applications on the planet, and our materials work. We've actually been growing mid-single digits in this space despite generally flat defense budget spending over the past couple years. So we're working closely with all the key OEMs in automotive, wireless, and aerospace and defense. We have a great competitive position, a very solid standing, and we're operating from a position of strength. We're trusted to deliver innovation and reliability in these target markets that demand nothing less. So now I'm going to deep dive a little bit more into automotive safety and connectivity. Just draw your attention to the graph on the right. And we've got two different data sources here. This is automotive radar sensor volumes, and we've got 22% growth projected by IHS Markit and 70% growth by ABI Research. And actually, we're somewhere in between. We've grown about more than 50% first half of this year versus first half of last year. So let's talk about some of the key drivers here down the left. ADAS are installed and in service in virtually every vehicle manufacturer in the world right now. And our materials go into the radar sensors to enable many of the ADAS functions, sensing the world around a car. Short and long-range radar sensors, but most importantly, very reliably. As you can imagine, customers want reliability and consistency now in this space. So more and more OEMs are putting these into more and more platforms. These are not just in luxury vehicles anymore. They're definitely in more mainstream cars as well. In the past, it was thought that cameras and LiDAR could replace our radar sensors. And in fact, what we're finding is that radar sensors are the foundational part of the systems, and then the others are complementary on top of that. Radar sensors work very well in bad weather and at night, while cameras and LiDAR have some limitations. Additionally, radar sensors work very well at long distances, which is a crucial component for autonomous driving in the future. So we start with radar as the basis, and then we put these other technologies in on top. Right now we're in a state of assisted driving where the driver still needs to have oversight of the vehicle. We're moving towards autonomous driving where the driver could just really be a passenger in the car, and in fact, no steering wheel would even be needed. So there's very defined, well-defined steps between assisted driving and fully autonomous driving. There's like 5 different categories that the industry's come up with. And all the indications are that as we move from assisted driving to autonomous driving, the cars are going to need a larger number of more sophisticated radar sensors, and that's right in our sweet spot. Another driver is the vehicle-to-vehicle and vehicle-to-infrastructure communications that I mentioned. Vehicle-to-vehicle is, let's say, 2 cars talking to each other as they approach an intersection, where one car might be telling the other, you need to stop, I'm going through this intersection. Vehicle-to-infrastructure communications is the vehicle talking into the grid where it might be getting a warning that there's construction ahead. Both of these are driving a need for high-performance materials. Without a doubt, consumer interest has translated to consumer demand, and we've passed the tipping point in this whole area. Once you drive a car with blind spot detection or lane change or collision avoidance or adaptive cruise control, you never want to do without again. Wireless infrastructure. Let's go a little deeper into this. The graph on the right shows some data from Cisco that shows a 51% CAGR here in global mobile data traffic. This is driven by mobile video and social media. I'm not saying our business is going to grow by that amount in this segment because service providers have different options. Some they can do through software. Some they'll do partial upgrades of a current infrastructure. And in some cases, they put in a completely new equipment. But what it does show is some of the challenges that the service providers have to accommodate this dramatic growth. And so it's some nice tailwinds as we get closer and closer to 5G. ACS materials are critical to performance, so before 5G gets here, there are many equipment deployments still to go. So let's talk about some of the drivers here. The most recent Ericsson Mobility Report, it cited that 55% of the world's population was covered by 4G LTE at the end of 2016, growing to about 80% in 2022. So yes, the rate of 4G deployments have slowed, but there's still a long ways to go here. And we've actually seen this kind of sine wave from 2G to 3G, 3G to 4G. So it's not unusual. I wish it was a nice straight line, but sometimes it's not. 4.5G, you hear this. It's also called LTE Advanced Pro or Gigabit LTE. This is for faster network traffic speeds and more capacity. So this is taking part of the 4G network where there's a high traffic area and upgrading that to a 4.5G. These oftentimes use new frequencies and what we call massive MIMO antennas. So MIMO stands for multiple in, multiple out. You can think of it as a more complex antenna. We're quite active here, and we're already seeing wins and deployments in 4.5G. Small cells. We've talked about small cells before. You think about a small cell, you've got two macro base station sites, and maybe the coverage isn't that great in the middle. They'll put a small cell in between to fill out the coverage. We're seeing a lot of that activity. Additionally, many of the service providers are starting to put in cellular IoT networks, or NB-IoT, so Narrowband Internet of Things, NB-IoT, and also LTE-M. And these are, you can think of these as machine-to-machine communications networks. These are primarily for just two machines talking to each other. There's 6 NB-IoT networks already have gone into service, with 18 more scheduled here in the next 6 to 12 months. And 2 LTE-M networks already in service, with 7 more coming. So great activity here, and our materials are helping solve the challenges in this space. Another exciting area is called fixed wireless access. This is part of enhanced mobile broadband. This is a wireless solution that's being pursued to replace cable or fiber to the home to get high-speed internet. There's actually multiple paths being pursued right now, but this could be the first true 5G application to get some traction, especially here in North America. We're working closely with all the key OEMs as they work to get these into service. And some good news here. The industry made some great strides recently here when they defined the new non-standalone radio standard. And that will be adopted in the first quarter of 2018. The standalone radio standard is going to be adopted in third quarter of 2018. So what does that mean? So non-standalone. Non-standalone means that these 5G units will go in on top of the 4G network or 4.5G network and help to upgrade that network. Standalone would be brand new equipment completely from square one. China has already made formal announcements that they're going to go with an all standalone 5G network, so that's good news. So initially 5G wasn't even supposed to be defined until 2019, with deployment starting in 2020. but we're seeing it's happening much faster. It's being pulled forward. And so with definition here of the standards and adoption in the first part of 18, we'll likely see early deployments in late 18 and then into 19. So that's a full 12 to 18 months sooner than when we were first hearing. So in summary, we have a differentiated position at the top of the performance and reliability pyramid. Our customers respect our solutions and support, and as such, we can command a value premium out in the market. In multiple application segments, we are the trusted innovation partner. We pride ourselves on having the best and newest technologies that line up with future customer needs. Our Worldwide Operations Group has done a great job in recent years improving our yield and throughput, thereby improving margins approximately 100 to 200 basis points per year the past couple years. But I believe there's still more fruit to bear on our journey to operational excellence. Very proud of the team that I've assembled worldwide, and without a doubt, we have the deepest, broadest experience in the industry. Our customers acknowledge this, and I'm quite humbled to be the leader of the ACS organization. And as you can see from some of the slides and some of our discussion here, we are the market leaders in some great markets with some excellent tailwinds. So I want to thank you for your time and attention this morning and leave you with the fact that ACS will continue to be a major contributor to Rogers' sales and profit growth. So thank you.